Oh my gosh. Okay, so nobody's on here yet, but let's look at the rundown for this session. Um, so, where are you meeting at the Rock? Hello?
Hello.
Hi. Oh, there we go.
All right. How are you today?
Good.
Good.
Here, let me. This is Alexa. She's also in the Liberty group.
Hello.
I think she's the only one coming tonight, so we have a small group, but we're excited.
Well, I'm glad you're excited. A small group is great, and I hope you remember to video this so everybody can see it later.
Yes.
All right, great. So if you guys, I'm assuming since it's just the two of you, you've done your one cool thing, you know each other. We're all good to just kind of jump into what DEs do and why you have one.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, well, first of all, I'm Chanda Lane Spurlock.
Hi. Sorry, I just came around.
Hi. Okay. No, we're just spinning randomly. It's okay. So, all right. No, I'm Chanda Lane Spurlock, and I'm the head of developmental editing for New Degree Press and Creator Institute. And you may have heard Eric talk about me when he's talking about create stories and working with DEs. You know, he'll say Chanda or DE Whisperer or something like that, and that's me. And so what I do is I work to make sure that you have a DE that can work with you on your manuscript. What your DE is there to help you do is to really get you some clarity of your ideas and your themes. To help you with the structure as you both build your stories, then build those stories into chapters, then build those chapters into a manuscript as you move through create stories and into create manuscript and into revisions. And one of the ways I'll help you do that is by refining your content. And that isn't just a matter of pointing out where you need details and dialogue and additional structure, which they'll definitely do, but it's also at times where you might have gone off on a tangent and they'll say, you know, this is great and this is what you're trying to say. You know, we're talking about puppies. So this whole thing over here about cats, we need to get rid of that. Cats are great too, but your book's about dogs. So they're going to help you refine the content and make sure you stay on point with your focus and your themes. And really, when you get right down to it, what we're here to do is to help you communicate the best way you can with the reader. And that way, what you want to say and what your book is about makes it to the reader in the best way possible. We don't want to lose what you're really trying to say in translation between this kind of struggle to maybe write and actually get words on paper and lose your way in the process of writing and not actually get to where you want to be. And so that's really what they're there to help you do. Now, they're going to help you by identifying some problems. And whether that's problems like, hey, this whole thing, the cats, no, we're not going to do cats. The book is called Dogs. We're going to stick with dogs. That, you know, that's one way. But it might also be things where you reach a point where you're like, I'm just stuck. I don't know what to work on next. I'm feeling like I have writer's block. I'm confused. Those are all things you can go to your DE with and say, okay, what do I do next? Help me with a plan that gets me back on the road so that when it's time to turn in my manuscript, I'm not stuck on story 3, wishing I'd gone on to story 4, 5, and so on. And so that's what your DE is there to do. And the big key to this, the huge key, is you gotta talk to us. And I know that we send you so many messages at times that we just seem like really sad, lonely people. And we're not. We are a little bit, but we're not all the time. So don't, you know, we're not just stalking you on Quip to be creepy. We actually are going to try to help you get your book to the best place. But in order to do that, you really do have to, when we send you a message that says, hey, do you want a phone call? If you don't want a phone call, just tell us, no, I don't need one right now, but could you read my story? Could you look at this? Could you do something else? I have this question. And it's to keep that interaction going. Because we can send you messages all day long and stalk you all over Quip, but it doesn't do us any good if you don't tell us what you're doing. And so the key to making the relationship work is to engage in that back and forth. And just like if you, and we're open. So if you want a phone call or you have a question and no one's offered one to you yet, or it's not, it's like, oh, I get my message on Friday and I haven't gotten my it's okay to book a call with me message. You don't have to wait till Friday. You can just, whenever you want, get on, send your DE a message, send me a message and say, hey, I need a phone call or I have this question. We're always there for you, not just on days when you get messages from us saying that we're sad and lonely when we miss you. So do you guys have any questions for me about DEs or other types of editors you might be working with, or the process, or really anything?
You guys have anything? I don't think so. I think we're good.
Well, that's good. I hope so. But like I said, it is always open. So you can send a question to your DE, you can send a question to your DE wrangler, and you can always send a question to me. And if you ever find that you're having trouble getting a hold of anybody, always send me a question or let me know, and I will get back to you as soon as I can, and we'll figure out what's going on. Because I want to make sure that you're getting your feedback within a couple of days of you turning in your stories and putting things out there for your DE to look at.
Right. Definitely. Thank you. Awesome.
So, yeah, no problem. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your session. I know you're going to do some talking about scribe writing and what that is. And I think a lot of you will really enjoy it. It will help some of you who are struggling with the process of writing by allowing you to talk through your book. So again, all your DEs are versed in scribe writing. So if you have any questions about it, that can go to your DE too. Let them know and they'll get right back to you.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day, guys.
You too. Okay, wow, this is some weird angle. Come back around. We'll let you take the Alrighty. So that was Chanda, and did she say she was the head of publishing at New Degree Press? I totally missed that. She's always like in my messenger thing, but yeah, basically I think she like heads up our designator or our what are they called? I don't know what's developmental editors. I almost said designated editors.
DE, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, I was like, wait, DE. So yeah, she just kind of gave us like a little information on that, and like she said, they're super helpful, which is awesome. And have you guys been assigned your editors yet? Okay,
I
cool.
had a phone call.
Oh, you did? How did it go?
It went well.
Yeah.
I mean, I really I'm so in like the still outline phases of things.
Yeah.
And like, I'm really trying to set apart time to start like actually writing. I'm just doing some more research, but we just talked about like my idea. And I have my book indexed already, so like the topics that I want to have.
Oh, that's good.
And I think she read through that, and I told her like where I'm trying to go with it, and she said like, it sounded really good, and that whenever I'm ready to tag her with whatever story that I have, and then she'd be able to look at it.
Oh, that's awesome. Cool. That's your stories index, like that's like everything. So that's good that you have that like going. Like, how did things go with yours?
Good. I had a phone call with her too. She's been like kind of still getting back. I have a lot of stuff uploaded and she hasn't really looked at much of it. So
okay.
I'm hoping that like as we go that she gets like, faster.
Yeah.
But I know we're like just starting out. So
yeah, I'm sure it'll like pick up. I know like a lot of them are just assigned to like so many writers, so it's kind of like hard to like. Yeah, I'm like, how do you do that? Oh my gosh! But do you guys know their names by any chance?
Yeah, mine is Ashley Alvarez.
Ashley. Okay, I've seen her name all throughout Quip, but
I think mine's Ashley too.
Oh, really?
Is it through the same one?
I think so. Yes, I'm pretty sure.
That's so funny.
That's funny.
Oh, my phone's off. Yeah, I remember that name. I think so. It's not an Ashley, it's Sarah. I'm pretty sure it's Ashley.
One or the other.
Yeah, one or the other. Another thing at the last meeting, you guys might have seen in the video, but basically like Eric was just saying like your developmental editors are there for a reason, and like don't feel like every story that you write has to be like absolutely perfect right now. It could just be like kind of a gist of like what you're going for, because like they're the ones who are going to help you like help direct your stories and like get you to where you like want to be. So like I keep putting like so much pressure on myself to like submit like these perfect stories, but like that you don't really have to do that like in these stages right now, because there's going to be so many people who like look at your stuff and like help you with it that like, I mean, that's what they're there for. So like no pressure to have like perfect work. But so yeah, she asked if we had done our one cool thing yet, which
We were
we
like,
hadn't done. I was like, oh yeah, we did that. But oh wait, she actually just sent me a message.
What's that?
Oh, she said, fantastic session. Thank you for having me. Anytime you have a question, be sure to tag your what's the designated editor again? Developmental editor, or I can give you guys her name too if you ever like have a question for her for Quip. But one cool thing is like when we just like go around and like share any like cool things that have happened with our books yet. Do you want to start? I don't really have anything, honestly.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
Hopefully soon.
Yeah, it'll pick up. But do you
Yeah,
have
I'm at a
anything?
little bit of a standstill.
Okay, same. It's been that way for me. I feel so bad because I keep telling my editor, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to knock out like 5 stories this week. And then I haven't done like more than one. And she keeps messaging me and she's so encouraging. She's like, keep up the good work, Deanna. Like, it's all looking good. I was like, I haven't done anything, but it's fine. But I actually did have an interview that went really well with an author that is actually like, his daughter went to high school with me, and he like wrote this book about like Christian stewardship. And so I talked to him and he seemed to have like a ton of connections, so like that was awesome. And like he said he'd like refer me to some people, so like I guess that's my cool thing for the week.
That's really good.
Yeah, so hopefully I need to follow up with him on that, but hopefully that goes well. But okay, so like Chanda said, we're going to talk about like scribe writing, which this was like the most helpful session for me ever. So hopefully it will be helpful. Let me share my screen. All right. So here's our lovely slides for the evening. So we did one cool thing, conversation with Chanda, scribe writing, and then we're going to do like a short little workshop. Did that already. Went over that. Okay, so scribe method. So we're going to be writing 20,000 plus words of stories. And you may get to a place when the words stop flowing, or you just stop feeling like writing, or you start to think you've no longer got a book in you. I don't know why I'm already in those stages, just because like schoolwork and everything. It says no. That is me right here. Okay, this is literally a blessing. Have you guys ever heard of Otter AI? Maybe. So what it is, I actually have been using it for my journalism projects, which has been awesome. But it's this website. I can go to it. I don't know if there's a link to it in here. But basically, when you record, how have you guys been like recording your interviews so far? Like GarageBand, me too. Have you recorded on anything?
I haven't like face-to-face interviewed anybody yet. I've just done like an email interview, so I just have it to text.
Okay, gotcha. Perfect. So what Otter AI does is if you like have a recording in GarageBand or you have a recording anywhere, basically it like listens to it and like transcribes the interview for you. So you don't have to go in and do it yourself, which is the worst thing ever. The one thing is like you do want to make sure that your interviews are like clear, because my roommate Brianna, who's gonna try to be here tonight but had something, she was like meeting her fiance or something, which I was like, you can go ahead and do that. But basically she had like a really poor quality interview and like Otter didn't pick it up, so like you just want to make sure like you're able to hear it. But yeah, and sometimes it'll get some words wrong, but like to the point where you can like tell like what it said, or even if you just go back and listen to it. So it won't work to just turn on your recorder and start talking. It's actually worse to take content you've recorded and transcribed and trying to edit it into your own book if it's disorganized. To prevent that, invest up front in your interview guide. You can create an interview guide from a story inventory. So last week we went over story inventory. Did you guys like get a chance to look into that at all? If you didn't, that's totally fine. So story inventory, let me go to the document on that. Oh wait, sorry. Where's my folder?
So many.
I know. You know it's purple, but like there's so many purple ones. Oh, here we go. All right, so create stories. Story inventory. So if you guys get a chance, whenever you get a chance, Eric like went over this in last week's video. Everything that he said is a lot more helpful than I'll probably say. But basically, a story inventory, you guys are all gonna like be able to copy this document and put it into your folder. But it's just kind of like a outline for like when you're going about writing your stories. So like for instance, I literally only put that in the whole entire document. But so I was gonna do this story about Lisa Whittle, who's like a Christian author, and like she has like podcasts and stuff. So I would take like what I got from my interview with her and kind of like fill it into all these questions. So like hero is like Lisa. Link to background, I just put in her website. Link to relevant content, like find any like podcasts she has or like websites, other websites like besides her own. So the 3Ds would include one interesting quote, like dialogue from your interview. This is kind of like allowing you to kind of come up with a lesson or a takeaway like you want to make through your interview, through this story. So then 3 interesting descriptive elements. So if there's like something interesting about like whoever I interviewed, like it could be a physical description, office description, like a mannerism that's like unique to them. I'd write 3 of those, and then 3 relevant depth, like that could be statistics, quotes, commentary from experts. So basically like what this is just an outline to get you like going on your story. But back to this. So yeah, that just says like organize the story structure.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, build interview guides. Be interviewed by someone else. Do a self-interview. Enjoy the adventure. Okay. So we're gonna do a quick activity. Let me go back to. I'm sorry, so much of this is always me like digging for documents, but I can never
That's
find
okay.
anything on here.
It's a lot of information to keep track of.
Because like I was just on this document, but whenever I like go somewhere else and quip, I like lose it. Like no. Okay, that's the wrong group chat. Here we go. Okay, so develop 2 interview guides. Let me go back to the PowerPoint because I'm kind of confused, honestly. Okay, gotta open up another document. Okay, I think I found it. So this was an example that Eric did last time. And he went over like as if he interviewed someone named Hassan Minhaj. I don't know how to pronounce that. He's apparently a real person. But this is just a document of like an interview guide that like we would make. So introduce hero. So he would introduce this guy, write kind of like important facts about him, like he was born in 1991, blah blah blah. anticipation stage. Oh, these are all the story structure things. Frustration, confrontation with the monster. So basically what we did last week is we went over these story inventory documents, but we also went over different story structures. Like, for example, it's kind of hard to explain. I can go back to like the PowerPoint from last week, but like when you're watching a movie, like typically like the story or plot line has like a specific structure it follows. Like most Disney movies, it's like there's a hero, there's a villain, and all that stuff. So basically there's like several story structures that Eric gave us last week that we can kind of like write our stories into those structures. So this is an example of like one of the structures. Like it had an anticipation stage, a dream stage, frustration stage, nightmare stage, miraculous escape. So he took his interview from Hassan and kind of like put him into these different stages. So like his dream stage was UC Davis coffee shop where he got his start, well manicured beard, thin and fast talking. So that's kind of like a introduction. Frustration stage, first job in IT, 730,000 graduate degrees per year. So this is kind of the stage where he confronted the monster but failed to defeat it. Nightmare stage, final ordeal death match where only one can survive. A quote from him about his parents hating his YouTube channel, examples of the first bad YouTube video. Miraculous escape, the monster is killed through his own courage, skill, and ingenuity of the hero. And then a quote from like why he was hired from his company. So that was really confusing, but does that make sense? Like what I'm saying,
Yeah.
It's like putting it into a certain structure. So yeah, I guess like what we're supposed to do right now is like take our own interviews and like put them into these structures for like 5 or 10 minutes just to like get a start on that. And then after that, we're going to try to do like a quick practice with like Otter AI and just like record each other and see like how it works.
Okay.
So yeah. It's okay if you guys like didn't get a lot done. I didn't really, but just like good to know like how that works. Like it's super helpful with interviews. But so now we're supposed to practice interviewing each other, which I feel like that's just like helpful in general for like interviews. So I guess what we're gonna do is like we're each gonna interview, like we have 3, so like we'll each just like interview like whoever, and then we're gonna record it like as they're talking and then upload it into Otter.io just to like see how it works and like have you guys set up your accounts. It's free, but I think you only get like the first like 6,000 words like free or something, but you can keep deleting like old stuff. So yeah. So does anybody want to go first with the interviews?
Asking or answering?
Whatever you want.
Answering.
You don't mind answering?
Yeah.
What questions are we supposed to ask?
I guess just if you were pretending that, so what's your book about again? I've asked everybody this so many times, but they all jumble together.
My book is kind of going to be a story about kind of like the top modern fiction books and the authors behind them.
Gotcha.
And what about their writing and like their own process made them the best. It's called The Greatest Stories Ever Told, but not like the greatest.
Yeah.
Just like stories that people consider to be great.
Yeah.
Like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I like that a lot. Did you change that at some point?
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, I don't remember that. That sounds so cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you could just ask her questions like pertaining to that, or just pretend like she's someone you'd be interviewing like for your book, like by the way you go about it, like you want to
Answer
be
questions
sure.
about your book. I mean, like if you're interviewing me for your book,
Okay.
Yeah, that's
me
true.
as a source.
Okay.
Like-
Which would you rather?
I'd rather you like ask me about if you were pretending I was a source for your
Okay.
book. That way you'd
Okay.
be able to like come up with questions a little better.
Yeah,
Do that.
and just like I think we went over this like briefly, but like we kind of talked about asking her opinion on things and then asking for examples, like so you have stories to make. So yeah, and you could also, since like it's in person, like you don't have to use GarageBand, but you could record on your phone too.
Okay.
And it could be like literally like it doesn't have to be long at all. It can be like 1 minute.
Okay. Are you ready?
I think so.
You got it.
No pressure. I'm just kidding.
Oh wait, shoot, I forgot I'm recording. I'm gonna just flip this around so they can see you.
Oh no.
They, as in you guys, who are the only ones who see this.
What is the biggest piece of advice that you would offer high school or college students? And of all of the things to say, why would you choose that advice?
What a great question. I think I literally thought about this the other day when I was thinking about, I was basically evaluating my life and saying, what would I have told myself back then? And I think the biggest piece of advice would be not to say it's a lie, but it's not true that focusing on your grades leads you to a better future. It's important to know who you are and to appreciate the relationships in your life, because no matter what, you can be at the top of the class, you can be getting the best grades, but at the end of the day, it's just a letter on a paper. At the end of the day, you have to like go out into the real world and interact with people. It's more than just producing really great work. It's about working with people and actually making an impact in the lives of the people being affected by the work that you're doing.
That's so good. Is there a specific time in high school that advice would have come in handy for you? Like, is there a story of when you wish you would have known that?
I don't know. A specific time. It's hard to think of a specific time. I think it's just something that like I wish I knew during my entire high school life, because I just focused on making sure like I got good grades, making sure I didn't get in trouble, making sure like I kept a certain reputation with people. Whereas the kids that got in trouble all the time may have been like getting really bad stuff on their record, but they always had like the most friends, or the teachers would always like be angry at them, but at the end of the day they'd be able to make jokes and be able to, just have really good relationships. And I was just thinking like, which one's better? You can get good grades and also be like a really cool person, but like the people who focus on, I'm not gonna step on these people's toes, or I'm gonna make sure I stay straight in line, and that means I'm not gonna let my guard down around certain people. So I wouldn't say that there's probably like specific moments, but I wouldn't be able to think of a specific one right now. It's just like I kind of wish I knew that throughout my entire high school life. Yeah.
Should I ask more, or are we good?
That's good. Yeah, we just want to kind of like
Test it out.
practice and test things out. That was amazing though. You should be like
Way
in
to
your
go.
book.
Good advice. I'll probably use your internet.
Yeah, no, you should.
Possibly.
That's amazing. Yeah. All right. So I can interview you, Alexa.
Okay.
If that works.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're a Christian author, but that's okay.
I'll pretend.
Okay.
I will
perfect.
be in November, so.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'll ask you about like your book. What am I thinking? Okay. Oh gosh. I need to think things. Alright, I'm just gonna hit record and see what happens. Okay, so Alexa, in your opinion, how is it different writing like a Christian piece of content rather than writing just like a regular like essay for like a class or something?
Well, for one, I think it comes easier and a little more naturally, because I think my identity is very based in Christ and who he has created me to be in the story that he's given me. So it becomes easier to kind of relate that story and tell that story and write it out because it's so ingrained in who I am. But I also think there's a lot of underlying passion there, probably more so than a lot of other topics. I might really care about soccer, which isn't true, but I'll throw it out there as an example. I might really care about soccer, but if it's not something that I've been created to worship, then there's going to be less of a passion than writing about something that I was created to be worshiping.
Right. Wait,
that
that's
makes sense.
amazing. Yes, I'm using you in my book. Okay, so what, I think it's an example thing. Is there an example of a time, okay, let me think. Is there an example of a time that you just like felt that writing something Christian was just easier like than writing something like not Christian?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's hard for me to write things that aren't Christian, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If I try to keep it secular, because so many of the ideas and the thoughts that I have tie back into my faith.
Yeah.
And so I think naturally it comes easier. Maybe a specific time would be I was kind of asked to write like my life story at one point, and it was so much harder to write it from a secular point of view of like this is what happened and like all of that without incorporating what God had done in my life.
Yeah.
And so it was much easier to write a Christian version of my story than a secular version.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers the question.
No, that's perfect.
But
It was a weirdly worded question, but awesome. Cool. All right.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
You guys are like amazing interviewees and interviewer. All right. I guess you will be interviewing me. I'm terrible on the spot.
Okay. Would you prefer I interview you about for my book or from your book perspective?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
I'll try to think.
I think it would help if I interview you for my book.
Okay.
Maybe some ideas.
Gotcha.
Interview feature.
Ooh.
Okay. So is there any like novel or author that you would say left a huge impact on your life when you read their story or learned about them?
This is so bad because I haven't like read a book in a long time, a fiction book. Trying to think of like growing up, like what was my favorite book? I loved the book Beastly was one of my favorites. I don't even remember who wrote it, but honestly, like it's really hard for me to stay focused like when I'm reading like a long document, but that one just like really kept my attention because like it was just very suspenseful and like it had incorporated like romance, even some comedy, suspense, like all of that was tied together, so it just like left me like wanting to keep like turning the page and seeing what would happen. Yeah.
So you mentioned that it's hard for books to keep your attention.
Yeah.
So what would you say is like the one thing that you notice about those books that can't keep your attention that's like a turn off for you from reading? Basically, like the storyline's bad or like the characters aren't relatable. Anything that specifically stands out to you when you're reading a novel?
So I don't even remember how Beastly was like set, but I personally like books that are set in like first person because I feel like you can relate like with the character more because you can like hear inside their head, like hear their thoughts. Yeah, I just think that helps the reader to like relate rather than it being in third person and you just kind of like know who the character is, but you don't know like what they're thinking or like kind of more like personally like about who they are. So yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, cool. Awesome. So that was just like a good little practice. But then, yeah, so if you guys want to just like go on to, it's called Otter AI, or Otter.ai, sorry.
They also have an app available.
Oh, really? I should download that, honestly. So like I said, it's gonna make have you make an account, but it's free. So yeah, I think you just have to like put in your email and then make a password.
Catch. Oh,
So just let me know whenever you guys.
I'm good.
You're good?
I got it. I have the app.
Okay. Awesome.
You can record up to 600 minutes for free.
600 minutes, that's right. I was like, 6,000 words, like, I feel like that's not enough for, like, this. So once you guys get in, hopefully it'll look like this. Oh, yeah, I'm going to share my screen with everybody. Okay, so hopefully it will look like this. I have 2 interviews in here for my journalism class, but so basically, let me take my lovely interview with Alexa and save it. Okay, so start recording. So you can title it whatever you want, and then it's probably picking up what I'm saying right now, as you can see, which is super cool. But if I started playing this, okay, so Alexa, in your opinion, how is it different writing like a Christian piece of content rather than writing just like a regular like essay for like a class? I hate listening to myself, but so basically, if that makes sense, that's how it works.
That's
And
so cool.
yeah,
So cool.
it's super cool. I don't know how I like didn't know that existed. So
I've been looking for something that did this.
I know. I'm like, how did I not know? I don't know if it's new or like, because I never learned about it in like journalism classes. So then to stop, you could pause your recording on here, and then to stop it completely, just that like square thing, and then it would be right there.
Does it do like when you click on the section, it takes you to that part in the recording?
Yeah, which is also another cool tool.
That's so smart.
Mind is blown.
Yeah, so this will like save your life.
Literally, let's see.
Literally life saved.
And 600
Um,
minutes is actually like, what, 10 hours?
Yeah, right?
That's a long time. That's
Yeah.
a lot of interviews.
Yeah,
Because 2 minutes spoken is a full page typed out.
that's so true. Yeah, so you are set, and hopefully we'll never have to pay for this. And so that's awesome that it's free. It's processing the conversation, so it's not letting us listen to it. But like you said, you can like click on like whatever you want to hear, and it'll like start playing that.
Yeah, mine is like already written out.
Oh my gosh.
Did you just
awesome.
import it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay, that's another tool. I didn't know you could do that.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Wait, so you just like
This makes so
imported
many
the recording and it just like what? Okay, wow, that's amazing.
It looks like it's pretty cool.
Witchcraft.
We need to stay away from this.
It's so cool.
Cool.
Yeah, so super cool stuff. But hopefully, I hope that like interview practice wasn't like pointless, but basically wanted
No,
to
that
just
was
like
good.
practice on each other because it kind of makes it a little easier when you're
I want
going
to
into
interview
like.
people now. I just need to like figure out the time to do it. I have a lot of
Yeah.
girls on my hall that are like, yeah, I'll give my advice and my stories. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, I just need to like sit down and actually do it.
Yeah, I know. It's always just like the thought, but then when you do it, you're like, oh, that was so easy. Like, why
Like,
did
I don't know why I
do
didn't
that?
just do it. You know? Like,
Exactly.
there are emails I need to send out and I haven't sent it. And I'm like, I don't know why I don't just send the email.
I know. I'm like, why am I putting this off? Like, there's no reason.
Hopefully spring
same,
break
that's
I'll have a
me.
chance to
Yeah.
I hope to get a lot over spring break done.
Same.
Just because like I'm staying here, I'm not really doing anything.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that'll be perfect. I hope that I can too.
do
Oh.
we have anything else? I kind of just like packed up.
No, you're good. I'm gonna send out this video and then I'll just like read these through real quick. I'm gonna send this afterwards. But basically this week the goal is to just keep writing content so your DE can go in and check that. Your target's to share 2,000 to 4,000 words of stories by next week's session. That's a target that will help me because I'm like struggling. Yeah, and remember, even if you
we're
don't.
gonna meet on Quip.
Oh, that's a good question because you're on spring break.
I mean,
I think I actually put in our schedule that it's spring break, so I don't know if we'll be meeting.
Okay.
I think Eric's aware of that, but if not, I will message you guys and let you know. But yeah, it says just remember, even if you don't feel like you have enough interviews done, just start writing. Use secondary interviews, and then yeah, I think that's everything. So we should be good to go.